political hot topics of the day. Good morning to John Dadian. How are you this morning?
See, well, based on Jeff's comments, I happen to think that this is just a mirror of what's going on the national scene. Is you're on one side, you're on the other, and I'm on the swing vote.
The swing vote. I think everyone's ready for this to be over, quite frankly.
Am.
But we have a third presidential debate coming up tomorrow night, and well, let's kind of talk about the format and the topics we can expect at this. We've seen two debates so far, very different. What can we expect tomorrow night?
Going to be a total of 90 minutes of 6 topics, but it's all on foreign policy. So if you can't understand this yet, let's say the word Libya. That's going to be it. And clearly what Romney's going to emphasize is the fact that I think that he's going to bring up a new point, and that is, should we have gotten involved as we did? Because now, since we've got Gaddafi out, it seems like the extremists are taking over. And that was always the fear on the Republican side.
Let's talk about the role of the moderator in this, Bob Schieffer. And, you know, what does his role need to be tomorrow night?
Well, I think very esteemed, great reputation as a journalist, but I think it brings on more importance since on the second debate the moderator's been criticized quite a bit. So I think he has added pressure on him that he needs to make sure that he sticks to the rules, he sticks to the agreement by the Presidential Commission, and that he comes across as being fair, and I think he will. He's moderated presidential debates before, so this is not his first go-round.
What do you expect on the tone of this debate? Last week was a junkyard dog type deal. Are we going to expect the same thing tomorrow?
I think it'll be a little bit more muted, but, you know, again, this is the last chance that they have to be seen together with literally 2 weeks from the next day. So
close. I mean, Ohio and Virginia and Florida just about toss-ups right now.
Yeah.
All 8 states, all of 8 of the swing states, some people say there's as many as 12 swing states, but 8 are completely toss-ups.
John, I don't want to downplay foreign policy and what's going on in other parts of the world by any means. As an American, you know, national security is a huge thing to me. But I do want to bring up the fact that when you talk to men and women on the street right now, their main priority in this presidential race is to get somebody in office that they feel is going to help people get back to work. Do you think that the debate tomorrow night is going to have an impact either way, or do you think most voters have made up their mind?
No, I think it is going to have an impact without a doubt. I do agree with you that their pocketbook is the main issue when they walk into the voting booth in 2 weeks, et cetera. But again, we have Libya on. What Romney's going to hammer tomorrow night, I believe, is going to be not the Libya, what's happened per se, but the credibility. The fact that the administration changed the story over 2 weeks before finally admitting it. And again, as you saw in the second debate, President Obama still wouldn't concede some of the things that Romney is saying as far as the credibility. Keep in mind, this president ran on a veil of openness, et cetera. And a lot of people, I think that's his Achilles heel.
Credibility is an important word, as in most things. Pick up the paper this morning, the UT, and you see that Carl DeMaio has a 10-point lead over Bob Filner. John, cut through that for us.
Well, I'd love to. Now, I will bring up as an example, and this is, I think, what turns the average man and woman on the street off, is compare that to within the last week, there was another poll that showed Bob Filner up by a few points, etc.
7 points.
And so if the average man and woman on the street, you're saying, what's going on? Which one of these is accurate?
Yeah. But further to the point, though, the UT has very little credibility when it comes to that candidate, correct?
Well, clearly, in their editorial section, they have endorsed Carl DeMaio without a doubt, and they're clearly strongly supporting him.
More than that, though, it's been shown that they've donated tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars to his campaign, correct?
Again, their argument would be that this poll is impartial, and a lot of people are going to disagree with that and try to pick it apart. This just came out this morning, so you will see in the next 24 hours people picking apart this poll. I haven't seen the methodology of it. I'm not that familiar with the group that did the poll.
But you read the article, and you were surprised by it, right?
It did seem that they just mentioned the previous poll, that, again, with those only last week. They mentioned that in the ending there. I don't think that it was completely fair and unbalanced.
New commercials this week. Should we expect to see some? I know we've already seen plenty of them, right? But are there going to be more attacks out this week, both on the local and the national scale?
I would assume there's going to be new ones because we have 2 weeks to go. But in the past week, there's been new ones. And what you can always tell by these commercials is I always read between lines. What are the campaigns looking at as far as strategy? And if you saw this week, very brutal commercial against Bob Filner on character. And if you see, there's an editorial in the UT about character. So clearly, I'm assuming the DeMaio campaign is reading something in the polls. If you remember in the primary, they switched their tactics at one point and started hammering who they saw as a main competitor, Nathan Fletcher, on the absenteeism. I think I was on the show saying I didn't think that was going to hurt him that much. Clearly, that's what did it. So they are very good. The DeMaio campaign is very strategically picking out what's really mattering to people and going for it. If character is an issue, they're going to be hammering Congressman Filner for the next 2 weeks.
All right. Well, it's gonna be an interesting
Thanks,
2 weeks.
John.
And hopefully you two will get along for it.
Well, that's on her.
We're always
you know.
getting along.
It's on Courtney.
Oh,
you know.
just because I put decaf coffee in the coffee pot.
Yeah, I mean that's a low blow.
All right, John. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, John.